In the world of professional wrestling, not every comeback sparks excitement or nostalgia. Some once legendary names, who were once hailed at the peak of glory, returned only to shock fans with mistakes, poor performances, or chaotic backstage stories. What was supposed to be a grand return instead turned into a complete disaster, leaving behind unforgettable marks in WWE history. Today, let's join Wrestling Sphere as we look back at some of the worst comebacks in professional wrestling, where triumph and failure are separated by the thinnest of lines. Let's get started. Wrestling Sphere, go! 1. Scott Hall. Razor Ramon has always been one of the coolest icons professional wrestling has ever seen. From his confident walk and cold, piercing stare to his effortlessly rebellious attitude, Scott Hall had a magnetic presence that drew you in the moment he stepped onto the stage. I've never, and probably will never, skip past a single match that features him. When the NWO reunited and returned to WWE in 2002, my excitement was through the roof. The wrestling world's attention was naturally on Hollywood Hogan's comeback, and rightfully so, since Hogan was one of the biggest legends of all time. But for me, the real thrill came from seeing Scott Hall get another shot. After his turbulent run in WCW, I truly believed he deserved a proper final chapter to his career. Sadly, reality turned out to be far harsher. Instead of giving Hall the chance to redeem himself, WWE decided to turn his real-life alcohol struggles into a storyline. To this day, I still can't understand how anyone thought locking a recovering alcoholic in a room filled with beer was a good idea. It was easily one of Vince McMahon's worst creative decisions, not only lacking empathy but also deeply damaging the legacy of a wrestling legend. Still, it's fair to say that Scott Hall shared some of the blame for his own downfall. He kept performing despite his ongoing battles, and though his return was brief, he still managed to deliver a few memorable moments, especially his match against Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania 18. Unfortunately, his personal demons refused to let go. The infamous plane ride from hell became the final straw, and just one day later, WWE released him from his contract. Hall later moved to TNA in an attempt to continue wrestling, but the man fans saw there was a shadow of his former self. It was heartbreaking. I had always hoped Razor Ramon would end his career with the glory he deserved, but that dream never came true. What was meant to be a triumphant comeback instead became one of the most disappointing and painful returns in WWE history. 2. Gail Kim. Gail Kim is the perfect example of how WWE once squandered a truly exceptional talent. From the moment she debuted, she made an instant impact, winning the Women's Championship in her very first match and quickly standing alongside icons like Trish Stratus and Lita. But a severe collarbone injury and an unexpected release cut her first WWE run short before she could reach her full potential. After leaving the company, Gail joined TNA, and that's where she truly flourished. Teaming with Awesome Kong, she helped shape the Knockouts division into one of the most respected women's wrestling divisions in the world. Gail became the face of serious, athletic women's wrestling and was hailed as a pioneer who elevated the sport beyond the superficial. So when she returned to WWE in 2009, fans had high hopes that this time, she'd finally get the recognition she deserved. Her comeback started off promising. Gail attacked Maurice and Michelle McCool during a Divas Championship storyline, seemingly setting the stage for a major push. But things quickly unraveled. Despite a few title opportunities, she never scored a meaningful win. Her storylines lacked depth, her screen time became inconsistent, and she often disappeared from television without explanation. During her 2.5 years back with the company, Gail appeared in only 6 pay-per-view events, winning just once at Survivor Series. Those numbers were shockingly low for someone of her caliber. The main reason was the era itself, the so-called Divas era, a time when WWE prioritized looks and entertainment value over actual in-ring skill. As time went on, Gail's role became even more diminished. One of her final storylines involved a love triangle with Daniel Bryan and the Bella Twins, a shallow, comedic angle that completely undercut her credibility as a veteran performer. Her frustration eventually boiled over. During a battle royal on Raw, Gail deliberately eliminated herself, walking out of the ring in protest, a silent but powerful message that she was done being underappreciated. It was a bittersweet moment, defiant yet heartbreaking, marking the end of an unfortunate chapter in her career. Had Gail Kim returned during the Women's Revolution era, things might have turned out very differently. WWE once had a genuine star in its hands but failed to recognize her worth. That's why her 2009 return remains one of the most disappointing and wasted opportunities in WWE history. 3. Mr. Kennedy. In August 2008, Mr. Kennedy, once one of WWE's most promising rising stars, suffered a dislocated shoulder during a house show match. The injury not only sidelined him for months but also delivered a devastating blow to his rapidly ascending career. Kennedy had been seen as WWE's golden boy of the future, charismatic on the mic, confident in his persona, technically sound, and brimming with individuality. He was the kind of performer fans believed only needed one real opportunity to break through to main event status. After nearly 9 months of recovery, Kennedy was finally cleared to return. He was announced as the first overall draft pick for Raw in the 2009 supplemental draft, a clear sign that WWE still had faith in him. On May 25th, Kennedy officially made his comeback in a massive 10-man tag team match, teaming with top names like John Cena, Batista, MVP, and Jerry Lawler against The Big Show, The Miz, and The Legacy. Everything seemed to point toward a promising new chapter, until the moment he delivered a fateful back suplex to Randy Orton. Right after the move, Orton appeared furious. He left the ring visibly upset and reportedly complained backstage that Kennedy was reckless and unsafe to work with. Rumors quickly spread that Randy even persuaded John Cena to join him in expressing concerns to management, arguing that the suplex could have caused serious injury. While Orton maintained that his reaction was purely about safety, it was later alleged that Cena directly informed Vince McMahon about Kennedy's supposed carelessness, something that escalated the situation dramatically. According to Kennedy himself, that incident was the real reason for his sudden release, the very night of his return. Whether Cena's report was accurate or not remains unclear, but the result was undeniable. Mr. Kennedy was fired from WWE after just one match. What was meant to be a grand comeback instead turned into a career-ending nightmare. For a performer once regarded as one of the brightest stars of his generation, being cut so abruptly was a shocking and bitter blow. The return that was supposed to revive his WWE dream instead marked its end, sudden, painful, and filled with regret. 4. Lord Tensai. Prince Albert, known by his real name Matt Bloom, was once a reliable mid-card wrestler during the glory days of the WWF's Attitude Era. He was never a megastar, nor did he ever headline WrestleMania, but his professionalism and solid in-ring ability made him one of WWE's most dependable supporting players. Still, fans couldn't help but associate Albert with his famously hairy back, a detail that became both a running joke and an oddly memorable trademark. After stints in groups like X Factor and Zoo Crew, Albert was repackaged by Paul Heyman under the new name A-Train. However, feeling underutilized, Matt decided to leave WWE in 2005 to seek new opportunities in Japan. There, he reinvented himself as Giant Bernard, earning respect in major promotions such as All Japan Pro Wrestling and especially New Japan Pro Wrestling. During nearly 4 years in the land of the rising sun, he not only refined his in-ring technique but also absorbed the spirit of Bushido, a code that would later inspire his WWE comeback persona. In 2012, WWE re-signed Matt Bloom. A video package aired on the March 19th episode of Raw, teasing the arrival of a new character named Lord Tensai. According to the storyline, Tensai was a warrior forged in Japan, embodying the samurai spirit, with tattooed symbols across his face and an aura of mystery and discipline. WWE intended to present him as a terrifying Eastern monster, returning to dominate the American wrestling scene. But there was a problem. The fans never forgot Albert. From the very first match, the crowd erupted in chants of Albert, Albert, turning WWE's attempt at a serious character into an unintentional comedy act. The name Tensai failed to convey any sense of menace. It quickly became a punchline every time he appeared. Even though WWE tried to legitimize him by booking wins over top stars like John Cena and CM Punk, the audience couldn't take the repackaged persona seriously. Less than a year later, Lord Tensai vanished from television. Matt Bloom resurfaced in a completely different role, wearing women's lingerie and dancing joyfully alongside Brodus Clay as part of the comedic tag team Tons of Funk. From an unstoppable warrior from the East to a goofy dancer in glitter and tights, the drastic fall from grace marked one of the most disastrous and short-lived comebacks in WWE history, a clear reminder that not every character reinvention can erase the past. 5. Mickie James. After nearly 7 years away from the WWE ring, the return of Mickie James stirred up huge excitement among fans. She had been an icon of the Divas era, a rare combination of beauty, talent, and charisma, leaving her mark through unforgettable matches against legends like Trish Stratus and Lita. So when WWE announced her comeback in 2017, the audience expected a grand moment, a glorious return where a veteran would reclaim her rightful place among the greats. But things turned out far less spectacular than expected. Instead of a dramatic reintroduction, Mickie was revealed to be La Luchadora, the masked figure who helped Alexa Bliss defeat Becky Lynch in a steel cage match on SmackDown. The unmasking was supposed to shock the audience, but it didn't deliver the impact WWE had hoped for. Instead of a triumphant re-debut, Mickie appeared as a background character in someone else's story, a disappointing twist for fans anticipating something more monumental. Following that reveal, Mickie became Alexa Bliss's loyal ally. She appeared regularly on television but mostly as a supporting figure, rarely getting the spotlight for herself. Even though she continued to demonstrate her veteran skill and in-ring storytelling ability, WWE never seemed interested in positioning her as a major star again. Rather than being celebrated as a returning legend, Mickie was frequently used to elevate younger talent, a move that left many fans frustrated, given her legacy and ability. Even at Royal Rumble 2017, which marked her official return to action, Mickie was given minimal screen time and no real standout moments. In a match filled with new faces, her presence faded quickly, and she became just another competitor in a crowded field. It was a sad contrast to the days when she once ruled the women's division and commanded the spotlight. Unfortunately, Mickie James's 2017 comeback lacked the emotion, respect, and creativity it deserved. Instead of honoring her as a trailblazer, WWE treated her like a supporting act. Despite her undeniable talent and dedication, her return became a symbol of how the company often mishandles its legends. In the end, Mickie's 2017 reappearance stands as one of WWE's most disappointing comebacks, a somber chapter in the career of a woman who once captivated the entire wrestling world. 6. Christian. Christian left WWE in 2005, feeling like someone who had never truly been recognized for his worth. 4 years, he lived in the shadow of Edge, his best friend, his tag team partner, but also his greatest rival in the pursuit of individual success. When he made the jump to TNA, it was as if he had been set free. No longer seen as a supporting act, Christian finally stood in the spotlight as a legitimate main event star. He was booked as a strong champion, delivered outstanding matches, and proved beyond doubt that he could carry a company on his shoulders. In TNA, Christian did what WWE never believed he could, shine entirely on his own. So when Christian left TNA at the end of 2008, fans were convinced WWE would make things right and give him the opportunity he always deserved. But reality turned out to be far less kind. Initially, the plan for his return was incredibly promising. Christian was supposed to make a shocking appearance at Royal Rumble 2009, attacking Jeff Hardy in secret and igniting a major rivalry that would lead directly to a WWE Championship storyline. It was meant to be a monumental comeback. However, when news of his TNA departure leaked, WWE panicked, fearing fans would spoil the surprise. The entire plan was scrapped. The heel turn was handed to Matt Hardy instead, while Christian was quietly reassigned to ECW, a third-tier brand many saw as little more than a holding place for mid-card talent. Although Christian quickly captured the ECW championship and held it for quite some time, the achievement only reinforced the notion that he was being held back. WWE still refused to see him as a top-tier name capable of leading the company. Even when he finally won the World Heavyweight Championship following Edge's retirement, his reign was heartbreakingly short, lasting barely a month in total. And then came the cruelest twist of fate. A series of concussions forced Christian to retire from in-ring competition while he was still performing at a high level. To fans, Captain Charisma will always be remembered as a true star, a man who lit up TNA and carried an unyielding passion for wrestling. But to WWE, he remained nothing more than a supporting piece, a remarkable talent who was never truly appreciated for the greatness he possessed. 7. Brian Christopher. In the world of professional wrestling, Brian Christopher was once a standout performer, especially known for his unforgettable, too sexy persona. His prime years in Memphis marked the height of his fame, a time when his confidence, energetic showmanship, and ability to electrify the crowd made him one of the most entertaining stars of that era. Unfortunately, much of that career now only exists through scattered, grainy clips on YouTube, often missing dates or context, making it difficult for fans to truly experience his full journey. Within WWE, Bryan became synonymous with the group Too Cool, alongside Rikishi and Scotty 2 Hotty. Together, they set arenas on fire with their comedic dance routines and light-hearted charisma. But the glory didn't last long. In the summer of 2001, Bryan was released from WWE after being arrested in connection with an international drug smuggling case. The incident shattered his reputation and effectively closed the door on any major comeback. He made a brief return in 2004, but within weeks, the company terminated his contract again, a clear sign that his career had hit a dead end. In 2011, WWE unexpectedly brought him back to television as part of a storyline meant to add drama to the feud between Jerry Lawler and Michael Cole. The angle had Cole inviting Bryan onto the show to speak out against his own father. But instead of sparking nostalgia or excitement, the moment turned into an awkward disaster. When Bryan's familiar Too Cool theme music hit, the audience didn't cheer, they fell completely silent. Trying to stay in character, Bryan forced a smile and danced his old routine, pretending as if the crowd was still behind him, while Michael Cole stood beside him awkwardly, playing along. The entire segment felt painfully forced, filled with second-hand embarrassment. The once vibrant energy that used to surround him had completely vanished. Things went from bad to worse when Bryan grabbed the microphone and insulted his father, calling Jerry a terrible parent and saying he was ashamed to carry the Lawler name. In response, Jerry mocked him, saying his son was an even bigger failure than Charlie Sheen. The exchange was flat, lifeless, and void of any genuine emotion, turning what was meant to be a powerful confrontation into an uncomfortable silence. Bryan Christopher's return ended up being one of the most forgettable moments in WWE history. Emotionless, awkward, and utterly meaningless. It stood as a harsh reminder that even the brightest stars of the past can't recapture their old magic when a comeback happens at the wrong time and in the wrong way. 8. Tatanka. Tatanka, a name once adored by WWE fans in the early 90s, began his career in 1991 and quickly made waves with an impressive undefeated streak that lasted for years. With his strong Native American warrior persona, he stood out from the rest of the roster, becoming a unique and recognizable symbol of that era. However, things changed dramatically when Tatanka suddenly turned heel and joined the corporation. From that moment on, his career started to decline. He became just another name on the roster, losing the spark and excitement that once defined him. In 1996, Tatanka left the WWF, citing personal and family reasons. After nearly a decade away from the spotlight, he made his return in 2005 on the SmackDown brand. Fans initially hoped this comeback would mark a fresh chapter in his career, but the reality was far less inspiring. While Tatanka still had his trademark physique and presence, the industry, and its audience, had evolved. The crowd no longer felt the same excitement, and his character lacked a clear direction or meaningful storyline. By 2007, Tatanka quietly departed WWE once again, this time without any official explanation. A few years later, he made a brief appearance on Old School Raw in 2010, a show designed to honor the legends of the past. That appearance, while fitting, wasn't the kind of comeback that would stick in people's minds. Then came one of the strangest moments in his career. At WrestleMania 32 in 2016, Tatanka unexpectedly appeared in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. What made it unusual was that WWE hadn't announced his participation beforehand. Not even the commentators seemed to know he was in the match. The Battle Royal wasn't promoted as a showcase for legends, even though Diamond Dallas Page also took part, making Tatanka's sudden appearance even more puzzling. With no introduction, no storyline, and no build-up, Tatanka seemed to be there simply to fill out the numbers. Many fans in the arena had to take a second look to realize it was actually him. After a short stint in the match, he was eliminated and once again disappeared from WWE for several years, only to resurface during a special Raw Legends Night episode in 2021. It was a strange, empty return, unannounced, unnecessary, and completely forgettable. Once a proud warrior and beloved figure of the early 90s, Tatanka's later comebacks sadly reduced him to nothing more than a filler name on a crowded roster. A disappointing end for a performer who once stood tall as a true icon of his time. 9. The Ultimate Warrior. The Ultimate Warrior, a name once synonymous with chaos, raw power, and explosive energy in the 1990s wrestling scene, made a WWE comeback that turned out to be one of the most disastrous in company history. After years of bitter disputes with Vince McMahon over money and allegations of steroid use, Warrior had become a major thorn in WWE's side. Yet, with WCW Nitro gaining momentum and threatening WWE's dominance, McMahon believed bringing Warrior back could be the secret weapon to win back viewers from his biggest rival. It sounded like a smart move, but also deeply ironic. WWE had often mocked WCW for relying too heavily on aging stars, and now they were doing exactly the same thing, reviving Warrior in hopes of reigniting the passion of millions of former Warrior maniacs. Warrior's return began at WrestleMania 12, where he faced Triple H, then still known as Hunter Hearst Helmsley, a rising star being groomed for the future. The match was short but memorable. Warrior completely demolished Triple H in just a few minutes, leaving fans both thrilled and confused. Critics slammed the bout as a technical disaster, yet it achieved its purpose. Warrior was back, dominant and larger than life, just as fans remembered him. Unfortunately, the magic faded almost immediately. Within weeks, it became obvious that Warrior no longer fit the WWF's evolving direction. Instead of the unstoppable powerhouse he once embodied, he seemed out of place in a company shifting toward a more realistic, edgy style. His odd behavior, like wearing a baseball cap to the ring to avoid scripted injuries, only added to the confusion surrounding his return. The breaking point came during a pay-per-view match with Goldust. Goldust was nursing an injury at the time, but the match went on regardless, and it was a disaster. The pacing was slow, the action lifeless, and the audience completely disengaged. It became one of those performances fans would rather forget ever happened. Not long after, Warrior began missing shows without explanation. McMahon's patience finally ran out, and WWE terminated his contract once again. Warrior later claimed his absences were due to his father's passing, but McMahon refuted this, noting that the two hadn't spoken in over a decade. The fallout reignited their feud, with Warrior accusing WWE of withholding royalties from his likeness and legacy. Regardless of who was right, the outcome was the same. What was supposed to be a glorious comeback descended into chaos and disappointment. A legend like the Ultimate Warrior, who once stood as a symbol of wrestling's wildest energy, ended his WWE career not in triumph, but in controversy and regret, leaving behind a dark stain on an otherwise iconic legacy. 10. The British Bulldog. For most fans, the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith, is remembered for his glory days in the WWF, not his brief and often forgotten run in WCW. But anyone who takes the time to revisit his 1993 matches would have to admit one thing. At that point, Davey Boy was still a world-class performer. His power, speed, and technical ability blended perfectly, turning every bout into a thrilling showcase. His alliance with Sting sent crowds into a frenzy, especially during their heated clashes with Big Van Vader and Sid Vicious. Yet, the highlight of his WCW tenure came during his television title match against Lord Steven Regal at Halloween Havoc. The match lasted exactly 15 minutes, the time limit for the TV title, and ended in a draw. But those 15 minutes were enough to remind everyone how good Davey Boy could be. Gone were the days of relying solely on brute strength. Instead, he demonstrated control, finesse, and exceptional in-ring psychology. It was a masterclass that proved when motivated and paired with the right opponent, Davey Boy Smith could deliver brilliance. However, that spark didn't last long. After returning to the WWF, Davey fell into repetitive, uninspired matches. His performances became formulaic, filled with endless chin locks and basic holds. Following the Survivor Series 1997 controversy, he once again departed for WCW, but it seemed like he had left his passion for wrestling behind in Montreal that fateful night. When Bulldog reappeared on Nitro, he was a shadow of his former self. His stamina was gone, his energy drained, and his bloated face and pale complexion worried fans more than they excited them. Every time he stepped into the ring, it looked less like competition and more like a struggle against his own failing body. The most uncomfortable moment came when Davey delivered a rambling, incoherent backstage promo aimed at Alex Wright, a far cry from the proud, British hero fans once adored. Years of substance abuse and injuries had ravaged Davey Boy Smith's body, turning a once-celebrated icon into a broken remnant of what he used to be. Though he briefly found some stability upon returning to WWF later on, his WCW stint after Montreal remains a somber chapter, a haunting reminder of how quickly greatness can fade when passion and health begin to slip away. And those were the comebacks that left WWE fans both disappointed and amazed. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any other exciting stories from Wrestling Sphere.